Hey guys, Kevin, Muddy River Tactical. Thank you for joining me. We finally got a nice day of weather here. It's the 1st of February. January was super snowy and wet around us, so the range was just too muddy to really get out and do too much shooting, which really sucks this time of year. But we're going to take advantage of today, even though it's still a little muddy down here, but we can make it, so we're going to take advantage of it and do some shooting. Today we have the Walther PD380. This is a new pistol from Walther. We've had our hands on it for roughly a month, but we couldn't get down here, and then we seen it at SHOT Show as well and talked to the guys from Walther about it there. So stick with us. We're going to do our first shots through this pistol, and we're going to tell you the pros and cons of the Walther PD380. All right, guys, if you've watched this channel much, you know I'm a huge Walther fan. The PDP is one of my favorite pistols. If I'm just coming out to the range, not for work stuff, just a straight shoot on my own, I'm gonna pick up my Walther PDP. It's just hands down my favorite pistol in that class. I don't necessarily carry it, but as far as a full-size pistol, it's one of those I just love to shoot. The ergonomics, everything just worked great for me. So when a new Walther comes out, I'm always super excited to shoot it, because like I said, if it's anything like the PDP, I'm gonna love it. So when I first got my hands on this gun, the first thing I noticed, if you really look at the texture and stuff on it, they've done a lot of the things that I like about the PDP, they've switched to this model. So in my opinion, what this really is a upgraded PK380. The PK380's been out for a while, and I won't say it wasn't popular, but just had its shortcomings in different ways. So they've really put the slide serrations like you see on the PDP on this PD380, and also the ergonomics of the grip and texture are just like that as well. So my first impression when I get it, just feels really good in my hand. The slide serrations are great, just like the PDPs. The slide is easy to rack, so those go into a 380, most of the time it's because they're recoil sensitive or something along those lines is why a lot of people go to 380. So it being a lighter rack, slide is definitely a nice touch. It does have the paddle mag release on it, which I don't have a mag in it right now, but it's got the paddle mag release. I'm not a super fan of that, but it definitely works, and it's on both sides, so right or left-handed, that's not a problem at all. So the PD380, just like the PK380, is a double action, single action pistol. So at the double action, the trigger pull's heavy. It's, they say 10 pounds. To me, it feels more than that. At the single action though, it's still heavy, but it's probably, they say 5. It feels a little heavier than that, but it's not terrible per se. The one thing I will say though is if you're coming from a Walther, most people that shoot Walthers shoot them for a variety of reasons, but their triggers are top notch in my opinion. And this one, I know it's a double single action, so it's a little bit different than the PDP as far as how the gun functions, but even the single action trigger part of it leaves a lot to be desired in my opinion. Granted, after we've shot it some, it definitely is better right now than when I got it out of the box. But when I got it out of the box, it was so rough feeling and so heavy of a trigger that I didn't even really want to shoot it, and that's terrible for a guy that likes Walthers. But it has got better, still not great. It's just something to note. When you go to the gun store, if this is one, you get one that hasn't been dry fired, the trigger does not feel good at all. And even the ones at SHOT Show that even everybody was messing with didn't feel great. However, after I've shot it, I've shot about 100 rounds, and it is better, but still not great. So just something to note. If you're a Walther guy and you're thinking that this is going to be a small PDP and have that same type of trigger, I just want to stop you there so you know that's not what you're getting into. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Some people like heavier triggers for concealed carry, which is what this pistol is really meant for, but just something to note. The sights on it are just white dot with adjustable rear. It does have the safety on both sides. If you're used to safeties, it's not bad. It just feels when you're gripping the gun, like from there, if you go to, it's weird to get it off. It's just not a natural cycle at all. So it's just something to note there. The one thing So those are the pros of it. The pros of it are great ergonomics, the slide and everything. It just feels good, slides easy to rack, it shoots smooth. The accuracy I found not to be the greatest, but a lot of that goes back to the trigger. You know, a pistol's only as accurate as what the trigger is gonna allow. So, you know, take that as what it is. It's a personal defense pistol. That's what PD stands for on the 380 is personal defense. So it's a close quarters pistol. In that scenario, it's not going to make much of a difference. But when you start going out and shooting any farther, accuracy is going to suffer some. It does have the rail on the front if you want to do any lights or lasers if you so chose to. I'll just show you the trigger real quick. So this is the double action, obviously, but it's long all the way to the back, and starting right there, it's just super, super heavy. It's just not a smooth pull. You know, a lot of double actions, when you get a better double action triggers, are just they're gonna be a longer pull because of double action, but they're a smooth, continuous. This one is until right there, and then it just hits kind of a wall and then gets super heavy. And then the reset as far as single action goes right there, and then you're right back. You got like that much play back to the wall. So the trigger's almost all the way back, but then the brake is still, they say 5 pounds, but it's definitely more than 5 pounds in my opinion. It's just a little heavy. Like I said, for self-defense pistol, that's not always bad, but it's just what you're used to and something to note on the trigger there. So in my opinion, where the Walther fell short on this pistol is not that this is a bad gun at all, but it does not have a slide stop or slide release on it, which in my opinion, I really don't like. There's some pistols on the market, in the concealed carry market, that don't have slide stops on there or slide release, but most of the time they do it to make the pistol as narrow as possible. Where this is 1.25 inches, the safeties are already out that far, so they could have easily had a slide release right there and not added any width to it. So I really don't like that it's not there. I think you can function a gun way better with one on there than not, but maybe that's just a personal opinion. The other thing is, going back to kind of a upgraded PK380, to me, and I may be wrong, I don't have a PK380 around the shop to judge it, but this 9-round magazine, which it comes with 2 9-round magazines, seems like the same mag as a PK380. They're 9+1. I believe that's what the PK380s were, but it's literally the same shape and everything. It's almost like they reused the PK380 mags, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but when you're going into a market that nowadays there's small guns that are carrying 10, 12, 13 rounds, it's kind of hard to justify why they didn't. And at first I thought, well, there wasn't space in the grip, but if you look right here, there's plenty of space. They could have put a double stack mag in it, like what the 365s or something have in it, because literally there's blockers that block a 1/4 inch on each side of this to make this narrow mag go in there. So there's all sorts of room there. So I think if Walther is ever going to compete in the concealed carry market, you know, the PDPs are great. Not saying this is a bad gun, but if they're going to compete with the super popular stuff like the 365s and things like that, they're going to be hard pressed to do it without keeping up with what the trends are and things. A single stack mag is not really the trend nowadays. Not saying it's bad, but it's hard to compete when somebody's looking at a 365 and then looks at this. It's going to be hard to outweigh one towards the other. And with that said, I've been wishing for years that Walther would come out with something in the micro 9, or even a 380 in the micro category, like the 365s, Canik MC9, something like that, size-wise. Because in my opinion, if they put what the PDP has in a package that size, they would rule the market. But just for whatever reason, they haven't. And I feel like them releasing this pistol is just a slight upgrade to a PK380. You know, granted, it does got great ergonomics and it feels great, but it's not on trend with what the market's doing. And I just don't see a lot of people coming into our shop or any other shop and choosing a 9-round pistol that's in a bigger, I mean, it's not micro by any stretch of the imagination. It's just under 21 ounces and has a 3.7-inch barrel. So it's a small gun by any means, but to take a bigger gun and less rounds, and then with the trigger not being what you would expect from Walther, it doesn't seem like it's got a lot of selling points to it. And that sounds terrible because I'm a Walther guy. I really wish this was something a little bit different than what it was for me personally. And I'm sure this gun's gonna sell. It's shot great. I've had no issues with it. Reliability's been fine. Recoil's great. It does shoot good, other than it's just not on par with stuff. And this is a $400 pistol, so it's not necessarily the budget end either. You know, so if you go to a $200, $250 gun, you kind of expect some shortcomings and triggers and things like that. But when you start getting into the price range of $400 or $500, where a lot of these guns lie, the market's just not that forgiving on that, in my opinion. But if you have one of these, definitely let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Like I said, I hate to say anything bad. I'm a Walther fan, and this isn't a bad pistol, but I think it's just fell way short for today's current market. And who knows, market always switches on what's popular, what's not. But as far as guns that are super popular and we sell holsters for all the time, this is not really the category that any of those fall into. So I'm kind of worried about how well it's going to sell, and we'll go from there. So if Walther's listening, I hope Walther comes out with a micro, PDP in a micro compact size. You would hit a home run, but this one just kind of fell short in a little bit. The closest thing you can compare it to is like the EZ series, EZ9, EZ380. Those two are in the same category as this. This one has way better ergonomics than either of those pistols, but both of those pistols shoot better than this pistol just because of the trigger, in my opinion. And that's, that can go back and forth. But really, the gun that this would beat is the Smith & Wesson EZ series. Outside of that, it's not competing with much. And in all honesty, the EZ380 and EZ9 really never took off super popularity either. So that's also what makes me think this one will not. Anyways, if you have one of these, let me know in the comments section below. If you're interested in getting one of these, let me know in the comments section below and why. And just let me know your guys' thoughts. Like I said, it's to each their own. Everybody has different opinions on stuff, but in my opinion, it's just not what I was hoping it would be. So if you guys need any holsters or anything like that, you can check us out at muddyrivertactical.com. We have all the holsters. We have leather holsters for this PD380 currently. We will be having Kydex holsters in the next, hopefully, week or so. We're adding new holsters daily. We're doing a lot of light bearing holsters, things like that. So if you're in the market for any holsters, check us out, muddyrivertactical.com. Also, if you need anything in the concealed carry, question, gun-wise, whatever, send me an email to support@muddyrivertactical.com. I'm always there to help. I'll get back to you as quick as possible. So thank you guys for joining me, and until next time, keep practicing and always be prepared.